Welcome back to Get In, We're Going Healing. I am your host, Tova. And on today's episode, we are going to continue our little mini series on shadow work. Today, we are going to talk about self-care tips after shadow work. So in the last episode, we talked about 5 tips that you can use, tools that you can use to help you when you delve into your shadow work. So now we're going to talk about what to do after shadow work. Yes, I know I haven't guided you in shadow work yet. We will be doing a guided meditation to go along with it to help you process your shadow work and learn how to ask yourself those questions so you can heal. But you want to know some aftercare tips before you delve into your shadow work so that once you have done a session of shadow work, you'll know how to honor and give compassion to yourself after the work is done. So I put this list together because after my therapy sessions with my therapist, she would often recommend that I do something that honors myself and to do something that gives me self-care and compassion afterwards, because it's so difficult to work through the emotional pain of this stuff. So you want to be able to give yourself compassion and love after your healing session, after your shadow work session. So I've put together a list of, let's see, 7 things that I found useful in work after you've completed your shadow work session. So without any further ado, let's get into our list. So the first item that I have recommended for shadow work is a hot bath. Yes, yes, yes. I know it's very cliche. It's so cliche about self-care that there's a hot bath, but hear me out for a second, okay? In my life before as a massage therapist, one of the things that I recommended to clients often after a deep tissue session was a hot bath. Now, the reason for that is hydrotherapy. Heat actually has been shown to relax muscle tissue. I'm sure you've noticed when you've taken a hot bath how much more relaxing you feel in your body, how your muscles just and give a sigh of relief after you're in that nice warmth of the bath. That's what I'm asking. It's not about just, ooh, look, I'm pampering myself. It's not that. It's about allowing your body to have a safe place. Now, this is where it comes in as the fun of it. Now, candles and scented things and music are all lovely things, and I know they're very cliche, but there's a reason for that. We are engaging the senses. Okay, so when you use bath oils or bubble bath, something scented, what you do is you allow it to affect your senses. So your sense of smell is included in that. When you use candlelight instead of bright bathroom light, but candlelight instead, you allow that soft flickering light, and that gives your visual effect. You've got the sense of touch through the temperature, through the hot bath, and how that calms you through the sense of touch. Maybe even have yourself a glass of wine or sparkling cider or just some water on hand. That helps to affect the sense of taste and helps to cool you down if the temperature is a little bit too hot, as I kind of like my baths. So these things can all greatly improve your mood. And music, of course, can affect your sense of hearing. Some soothing, relaxing music. This is not the time to pull out your loud, dancing, get into the groove kind of music, because it's not going to help soothe after parts work. There's space for that. Don't worry, there's space for that. But in your bath time, you're looking for something soothing and calming, whatever that looks like to you. Classical music, meditation music, yoga music, chants, mantras, whatever it is that you find soothing, that would be the time for that kind of music. And it's just to allow your body to have some space to go, lock the door, ask the other parent, if you are lucky enough to have another parent in your house to help with your children, ask that parent just for a little bit of space to watch the kids so that you can decompress. This is very important after parts work. You have to be able to decompress. So that's tool number 1 for that one. We have take a hot bath. Tip number 2, physical exercise. Moving your body is the same concept as the bath. It's allowing you to dissipate the energy that you've built up in your parts work, in your shadow work session. So moving around, exercise, physical exercise. This can be cardio if that's something that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be like hardcore cardio. Like this doesn't have to be, no one's saying hitting the treadmill. Go for a walk. Go for a walk around your neighborhood and just smell the air. I'm a hula hooper. I love to spin hula hoops. I find that to be very creative and dancey and great cardio. I'm a big hula hoop fan. So maybe if you're a hula hoop fan, that's a great way to dissipate that excess energy that you've built up and that feeling that you have, just to let it dissipate and get out of you. So physical exercise is a great one. Ideally, if you can do something that slows it down, bonus points if you can incorporate mindfulness with it, such as yoga or martial arts. And I'm not talking about the throwing kind of martial arts. I'm talking about the personal ones like Qigong and Tai Chi, things where you are aware of your body's motion, you're outside of your thinker, and you're into your physical sensations. That's what we're aiming for here with physical movement. We're aiming for being in your physical body rather than inside your mind where you just were. Number three, tip number three, meditation. Yes, I know it may seem counterintuitive because we were just talking about getting outside of your head, but hear me out here, okay? There are lots of different types of meditation. Tai Chi, yoga, all those things, those are movement meditations, and those are wonderful. But you can also do it by sitting and meditating, just sitting and meditating and being in your space. Now, when I say that, what I'm recommending is mindfulness meditation. I mean, you can get into a guided meditation if it's one that's going to help you relax and unwind. But generally what I'm referring to is something that gets you out of your head and into your body. So that's your mindfulness meditation. As you start to check in with your body and ask your body, how does it feel? After you've done your parts work and you've let something out, how does it feel in your body? How does your body feel while you're in it? Are you noticing that maybe you're tight and tense because it was all very intense? Are you noticing that you're edgy and maybe a little anxious? Are you a little nervous? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling any big feelings? This is a time to check in with yourself and to see what's going on in there. What are you feeling? How's your body feeling? Are you maybe like exhausted because you had to, maybe in your parts work or your shadow work session, there was a lot of tears that had to come out, a lot of pain that had to be purged from your body. This is a good time to just check in with your body. How does your body feel after all of that? Meditation, mindfulness, big ones. All right, so moving right along on our list, we've got number 4. So this is where I was talking about getting back to music. I said there was going to be time for it. Here's your time. So music is a way that can really help us unwind. I found in my past when I was really angry, surprisingly, listening to very angry music helped me process my angry feelings. Listening to sad feelings helped me process my sad feelings. There's also space for happy music when I'm feeling very upset and sad, something uplifting, pop music, something in that thing, something that just makes me want to move is helpful for me. May not be helpful for you, not saying that it's going to be, but it may be something that's useful for you. So you can always look into listening to music after you've done a therapy session. Whatever it is that calls to you, okay? Just something, not something that's going to pull you back into that thinking pattern. So let's say your parts work that you did had to do with a lot of sorrow and sadness. Music that's sad may not help you if it's going to plunge you back into the thinking pattern you were in when you did your self-care or when you did your parts work. The idea in this is not to get back into the state you were in your parts work, but to soothe that part of you that had to come forward, that had to share what it needed to share. You're soothing yourself and soothing that part. You're finding a way to disengage, to get back into the space of the life that you're living in outside of the stuff that is to do with what's going on in here. We need to get back into our environment. So that's what we're doing with these things, these self-care tips after, to help get you into that space. So music may be a way for you. I'm a big fan of high frequency music. There is a playlist that I absolutely adore on Spotify. That is Higher Frequency, I think is the name of it, Higher Frequencies. And it's all just music that's, some is instrumental, some is singing, and it's all just stuff that helps to lift you into a higher space. I find it very helpful after a therapy session or a shadow work session. So maybe that might be beneficial for you. Whatever works for you, okay? Extra bonus points if you end up finding yourself music that you can get up and move to, because now we're combining physical movement with music. and that can greatly help to uplift you afterwards. So moving right along, next thing that you can use for self-care is a big one that I use all the time, and many people do: journaling. Ooh, I know that's a loaded word, but hear me out here, okay? Writing down your thoughts can be incredibly beneficial and incredibly healing, okay? You can write about the parts work experience. Some of my journal entries after a therapy session were what happened in the parts work session, what I saw, what I said to my part, what my part said to me, how the whole experience went down. Some of them afterwards are thoughts about what came up from the part. So it may not be an account of what happened during my parts work, but it may be as I work through something that my part said, or a new awareness, a new idea that came forward that I was like, I hadn't thought about that before. And my writing may be on my thoughts on that thing that came up. Just remember, the thing about a journal is it's your thoughts, okay? No one can see your journal without your permission. It's yours. It's your private thoughts. So you can say anything you want in your journal. Trust me, I have said some pretty unkind things about people in my life in my journal when I am in a state of anger and frustration and caught in a wounded part. I have said some stuff about people that I love that when I'm outside of that emotion, it's kind of harsh. But the thing is, they'll never see it. It's not for them. This is a space for you to just open up and be you. Whatever thoughts come out, kind, unkind, to yourself or others, it doesn't matter. This is a space in which you can share your thoughts, a private thoughts, okay? If you're not a writing person, this is just as easily done through video journaling. I have many of those as well when I have been in a state where things have come up that I needed to process and work through. And I have just pulled up my camera on my phone and spoken into my camera and shared my thoughts. Or you could do a voice recorder on your phone as well and just record what you would write down otherwise, rather than just writing it down. There are many, many, many ways that you can journal. It's not limited to the diary of the past. It is just a space for you to share how you feel after a session. So let me make sure I've got all my points here. Yeah, this is a time that you can share if you found solutions to your problem or peace. It can help you identify patterns of thinking that you didn't see before. It can help you set goals and create change. A journal is a great tool in your toolbox and one of the best ones that you can have. I know myself, I've written down things in arguments and whatnot after an argument, my thoughts and my feelings. And then later I'd gone back and I could track my healing progress through the types of things that I was writing in my journal. I could see exactly where I was and what thing I was facing and what shadow that I was dealing with based on what I was writing about. This is a very beneficial tool for you also as you move through your healing journey to see how much progress you've made, to see that you are indeed healing, because every day as you go through this, you may not notice it because you're living in it every day. But if you can go back and see what you've written before and see where you were before, you can see how far you've come. You can see how much growth you've attained. And that's wonderful. And that's such a good motivator to push you forward. So journaling, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. You won't be scared. Journaling, it's very therapeutic and beneficial. Get yourself one. All right. So tip number 6, distraction. Now, this one is beneficial, but also please use this one sparingly because this one can easily slide into the space of disassociation. Disassociation is where we leave our body and our mind goes off somewhere else into a space somewhere else, and we're no longer present in ourselves. That is disassociation. Not a great way. I mean, if you have to, because the feelings are too big, but there are other ways to handle it. Disassociation is generally not a great practice to get into, but distraction is helpful. Now, distraction can be something like watching a movie that makes you feel good. It can be listening to music that makes you feel good. It could be talking to a friend that makes you feel good. It could be scrolling through Facebook, though scrolling is often considered a disassociation behavior because particularly if you're mindlessly scrolling, then you're not really present, you're just scrolling. And that's a disassociation thing. helpful, I suppose, in the short term, but don't rely on that one too heavily. Okay, that can be, if something big came up and you just need some space to process it, disassociation can be useful and distraction can be useful, but don't make that your main coping tool. Okay, that sparingly, sparingly. There are lots of other tools that you can use that might help you progress farther. So use those distraction tools sparingly. Okay. Let's see. Oh, another great example of distraction. If you have children, engaging with your kids, if you have the mental bandwidth to do this, engaging directly with your kids and letting them direct the play, letting them tell you how they want you to play and what they want you to do. And here, take this and you're going to be this character. And getting lost in play with children is such a great way to distract yourself from all the big feelings that you were feeling, that you're trying to process and let go. There is magic in the way that children see the world, and getting down to their level and engaging in that magic with them can do so much wonders in healing, particularly if your wounded part was your child self. Being able to engage with that child wonder is such a great way to help yourself heal that part, particularly your wounded child part, validating it and loving it and giving it some space to play. Great tool. I use that often. All right. So my final tool for helping you work through with your self-care after parts work is finding ways to honor yourself. Okay. I know that sounds funky and you may not know what that means. So let me go into a little more detail with that. So parts work can bring a lot of pain to the surface. I mean, that's generally the gist of it. It's pain you shove down that you're bringing up so that you can process it and release it and no longer have it running underneath the programming, making effects and changing how you do things. So it's going to bring up a lot of pain. Okay. It's important to honor yourself and the journey that you've been on. Some people hurt you. And if we're being honest, you hurt some people too. I often use the phrase hurt people hurt people. So people who have hurt you were hurting themselves. That's why they hurt you. And if you've hurt other people, you were hurting in that space, which is why you spread that hurt out to someone else, because you were hurting, even if you didn't even realize it. And other people often hurt you without even realizing that they're hurting you because they're acting out of their space of pain as well. So honor yourself, okay? If you did things that caused hurt to others, it's giving compassion and forgiveness and saying, God, I could have done that better. That sucked. And saying, you know what, it's okay. I love myself anyway, even though I made a mistake. And then you give that compassion to someone else. When they hurt you and you realize they hurt you out of their own pain, you extend that compassion to them saying, yeah, you hurt me and it sucked. But you know what? I forgive you because you only hurt me because you are hurting. Now that's a whole nother thing. And we've done an episode on forgiveness, and I will probably do another talk about forgiveness because it's a big deal. But in this case, what I'm talking about is recognizing that we all cause pain to each other. Okay. We all cause each other pain, and we all end up feeling pain on the inside because of things that others have done to us or that we've done to ourselves even. As we release that pain, we can feel like we get gobbled up in the pain. As we bring that pain to light, we can sometimes feel like we've gotten lost in that pain, and sometimes almost like we're drowning in the pain as we bring it up. So we honor ourselves with the things we've been through, and for the things we've been through and the trials that we've endured. We learn to love the version of us that had to do those things because they didn't know any better at the time. They didn't have the knowledge that you have now. That part of you didn't know how to do what you can do now. And that's just it. That's the whole point. So we learn to forgive ourselves for the choices that we've made. And we learn to congratulate ourselves for the choices that we've made, for the progress that we're making on our path, even when the pain of the parts work is just gripping you. Taking a moment to honor yourself and recognize yourself for doing the parts work, for hearing yourself, for processing the things and letting them go. Man, if I could reach through and give you a gold star for that, boy, would I ever. You're doing amazing things. You are healing the parts of you that almost at some points felt like it was never going to be healed. And you're doing it. You're doing the shadow work. You're addressing those things so that they're no longer subconsciously controlling you. That's amazing. That's amazing. Don't discount that. At the same time, recognize you're also doing something that those generations before you couldn't do. If your parents spread their hurt on you because they were hurting, they could not face the things that you are facing now. They could not do the parts work. They could not face their pain, heal it, and let it go. But you are when no one else could. That's amazing. You really need to give yourself credit for that and honor yourself for the choices that you are making to be a healthier version of yourself, because that is beautiful and amazing. So to sum up at the end of all of this, what I want to say is parts work is hard. It's hard. I have been on this journey for a while and I'm still dredging up parts that need to be addressed and wounds that need to be cleaned and healed. And it's not always fun. There's a lot of pain involved there. And there's a lot of moments where I am deeply in it. I am going through it, as other people mention. I am going through it and I am deeply in the emotions and deeply in the stuff. And it's hard. It is so hard, but I promise you it is worth it. It is worth it. It's worth all the pain that you have to heal in order to be a healthier version of yourself. It's worth it to not be dragged down by your baggage, because it's so great. It's so big. Your baggage is so heavy and so big, and it stops you from being yourself. When you learn to drop that baggage, you are free. You are free. You are no longer ruled by all of these unconscious programming. You are free to truly be yourself and to live all of what's coming to you as your true self, as your authentic self, and not as the self that you put on a mask to show because that's what you were taught to push down your pain and push down your feelings when you weren't validated, when you weren't acknowledged. So as you learn to become free, you also learn to become loved. As you drop the ideas of yourself, as you heal the wounded parts that were wounded because of somebody else's pain, when you heal the parts that feel unlovable, unworthy, not valuable, as you see these things that people put on you and you let go of their expectations, you let go of the pain that they have given you, and you heal those parts, you learn to love yourself on a much deeper level. You learn to love who you are, not the parts of you that others said were acceptable, but all of you. You learn to love all of you, and you learn to accept mistakes that you've made, and you learn to forgive the mistakes that you've made. And as you learn to love and forgive yourself and accept yourself, so too do you end up extending that to those around you and loving them through their mistakes and loving them through their hurts and giving compassion and forgiveness to them because they are also healing from things that other people did to them. Isn't it a lovely journey? It's so lovely. It's so lovely. So those are my self-care tips for after shadow work, after you've done a shadow work session. So if you've enjoyed this, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, follow, share it with other people so that they can have these tools as well. Spread the wealth, help other people also grow. Help other people also let go of their baggage. So wouldn't it be a wonderful world if we were all our true authentic selves and we all stopped trying to get validation from outside and truly loved ourselves from inside out and shone our light from the inside out to everyone else? Wouldn't it be a wonderful space to live in? I think so. And this is why I do this. This is why I share this. This is what I want is for other people. I have been through it. Trust me. If you're sitting there thinking she doesn't know, I know, okay. I have sat in my meditation space, which is just my garage, with the door locked. And I have sat there and I have sobbed, and my body has been racked with sobbing as I let go of pain that I have held on to since my childhood years. Things others have said to me, bullies and parents that were not healed, and friends that were not healed, and family that were not healed, and all the things that they shoved on me and made me feel. As I have processed the pain of that stuff and recognized it for what it is, I have been free to let it go. And now I get to live happy. Not every day. Shadow work is a regular process for me. I don't know if we're ever done shadow work. Your shadow is not a bad thing. It's part of you. It's part of you. You need to learn to make friends with your shadows. Be their friend, be their loved one, be their buddy. Know that they are there for you and you are there for them. You are all connected. As you learn to love yourself, they all become parts of you and they all become lovable. So until next time, love and light. On our next episode, we will be talking about recognizing which parts need to be healed. Finding a way to recognize, based on actions you are doing, based on thoughts that you are having, what part of you may be in need of healing and why. So tune into our next episode for more tips on working through our shadow work and working through our shadow selves. Until then, love and light, fellow human. Bye.